we actually welcomed in? Are we welcomed into the stream? I think we need to have an actual discussion about that at some point.
Oh, well,
I'm not targeting anybody with that comment at all.
I don't know boundaries, so I know you're not talking about me. No, we stream several times a week. We play FX3 on Wednesdays. We do pinball tutorials on Tuesdays, as all of you know. So those are our main features, and we fill it in with lots of other streams.
And I'll go ahead and shout out now. Join the VPinHub Discord. We're all members of it. We do a lot of cool stuff in there, have great discussions. We have a Thursday Throwdown, which is a weekly Thursday to Thursday VPX or whatever virtual table that we pick, as to not preclude things like future pinball or anything like that. It's a lot of fun. So hope that you join us if you have not yet done so. Anyway, gentlemen, shall we get started with our number 10?
We shall. If I may jump on your VPinHub train, also visit VPinHub.com. Go to the tournaments and leagues section. There's a lot of other streamers like Lucifer Bob and others that are also streaming tournaments for you guys. So hop on over there and check it out.
Yes. Yeah. Get in there. Go to there. Get into the Discord. Discord's going to have the latest and greatest information. But also check out the website. It shows all the streamers for VPinHub, like Marty just said. Anyway, are we ready?
We're ready.
Ready.
Number 10.
Number 10.
All right, everybody, we're going to start out with my number 10 table of 2022. Now, I do want to say that at least we tried to keep these two tables that were released in 2022 or had updates that made them significantly new tables. My number 10 table for 2022 is Voodoo's Carnival Pinball by Kcron 666. It was released in March of 2022. Now, for those that don't know, Voodoo's Pinball Carnival is a completely original pinball table that he had worked on for a little bit over 2 years before finally releasing it. It's actually his first original table, and he did almost all of it himself, including the pup pack. You know, it's an incredibly original theme. I really fall in love with, themes that are unique and whatnot, and where you have a pinball table that plays into that theme really, really well. I will probably bring this up again later. I'm a huge board gamer, and there are Ameritrash games and Euro games. Euro games are games where a theme is just slapped onto really good mechanics, and some pinball tables feel like that. But recently, we've gotten a lot of tables that really make use of the theme in great ways. And you'll kind of see a theme with my list here. But, the table is really unforgiving. It has really awesome modes. And once you start to unlock it and figure out how it works, it feels great. It feels great. I'll just end by saying that every time I play, the table inevitably makes me want to punch Voodoo in the face. And that's great. So my number 10, Voodoo's Carnival Pinball.
All right.
Yeah. You're up.
Fair. I was just trying to give a pause. Apologize. All right, so for my number 10, I really struggled with making my top 10 list in general. So how I quantified it is I went back through Popper and I looked at the play time I had on each of the tables. And that was how I decided my 10 list, because there are a lot of tables that I feel I really struggled to pare it down to just 10. My initial list was 19. I got it down to 15, and now we have 10 and 5 honorable mentions. But the determining factor is I went by playtime. So some of these tables might be a little bit shocking there because they're my guilty pleasures, and that's how I quantified it as. There's lots of tables that are great, but that was my determining factor. Is these are the ones that I have the most playtime on that came out in 2022. So number 10 from Joe Picasso is going to be the barbed wire Joe Picasso mod. I love the artwork on that table. Hawkeyes did an amazing job with the pup pack. It did not shy away from the nudity. Not saying that was, why I keep playing it, but I can tell you that there are other people in my household that discovered that very, very early on, and that's probably why the numbers got run up. I caught my 10-year-old son sneaking in there when I was working to play that table. And I had the PG-13 version I had both versions in Popper, and then I removed the nudity version from Popper, and he figured out how to direct launch the table.
Wow.
Yep.
Smart.
So that is my number 10 barbed wire Joe Picasso mod.
A good one. My list will probably surprise a lot of people. Mine, much like Paul, is guilty pleasures, ones that I have a lot of playtime on, but I also considered the most downloaded tables for the year on VPU, and what seemed to be the machines that grabbed me and impressed me. So these may not be some of the most incredible tables you've played all year, but to me, there's something special about each one of these. And number 10 for me is Rusty T's Time Lord. And while it is a modification on Wrath of Olympus, it was coded very differently and really is an original table. It's receiving an update that will blow it out of the water in 2023 with what we saw in 2022. But I was just really impressed with the sound design, but overall the story, both in the pinball and the creation of the VPX table itself, having talked to Rusty and a couple of the people that made it. It just really impressed me. And so Time Lord is my number 10 pick.
Nice. Yeah, Time Lord, spoilers, it's not in my top 10, but it was right on the cusp of being in there for those exact same reasons.
I had 29 tables, and
ooh,
it was very hard for me to slim them down.
I'm not going to lie. I have yet to play Time Lord because at the time that it had its big release was right after I had surgery. And then it really wasn't until terribly recently that I've been playing again. And it's on my list. I will get to it, but now you've intrigued me and I wonder, do I wait or do I start now?
Well, I'll intrigue you more. If you wait just a few weeks, we are going to introduce you to Time Lord 2.0, which will really be something different for you. And like for your children, Paul, it'll introduce an easy mode for those that want to achieve things on the table without the challenge, and yet still retain that higher end, hard to play, hard to achieve mode. I don't want to spoil too much, but for those of you in the community that want to, we'll be reaching out to you in the Discord for VPinHub to be beta testers the week before the premiere. So stay tuned and watch the Discord.
Awesome. No, like, yeah, I'll just say, Paul, that it's a table that constantly surprises and made me go, oh, ooh, like make all sorts of fun noises.
I watched
sound
a lot
design
of you guys play it, and I was very involved in the Discord when, after it was released and we had it as the Thursday Throwdown, and I was really bummed I couldn't play it. And it was one of those that there were so many tables released this year that once I could play again, I never circled back around to it, and I need to.
Cool. Well, those are our top 10. Now we're going to go into number 9.
Number 9.
so my number 9 table of 2022 is actually a table that it's not one that like, oh, it means a lot to me, but it was one of the first physical tables that I remember playing and, being really intrigued by. My number 9 is Swords of Fury by Board, who had some help from Uncle Polly and Apophis doing some stuff in there. But Swords of Fury, classic Williams table from the late 80s. This was released in September of this year, the VPX version by Board. And it's, Board doing what Board does. He takes a classic table and makes it feel as close to the real thing as possible. I mentioned that, it was one of the first tables that I remember playing. Not only was it one of the first tables I remember playing, I had played some other ones. Sumter, South Carolina, shocking news, not the pinball capital of the universe. So my options were incredibly limited. Our Aladdin's Castle really only had like 3 or 4 machines at any given time. Pizza Inn was the best place to play brand new pinball tables. But what really intrigued me about it was the upper playfield. It was like the first table that I'd ever seen that had an upper playfield. Blew my mind. I'm like, whoa, there's a flipper over here doing stuff up there. It's great. My 8-year-old brain couldn't handle it. But, it's an amazing recreation of a, very well-loved table. Artwork, the playfield, all of it's gorgeous. Just great work on it overall. So my number 9, Swords of Fury from Board.
It's a good pick. I very much like that table. I love the call outs and some of the DMD. Some of the DMD text kind of makes me chuckle if you've read some of the abbreviations in there and know what I'm referring to. But I completely agree. Board does amazing work. It plays just like the real table. I'm always excited when I see a Board release because a lot of them are tables that come up in tournaments that I travel to. And sometimes before I get there, my only introduction to it is a Board table. And I know if I've played the Board table, I'm going to be good to go once I get the feel of the physical table. It's going to shoot just like it should.
Absolutely. So what do you got for your number 9?
All right. My number 9 pick is Big Bang Bar, the mod from, I always mess up his name. Marty, you're going to have to help me.
Get in Kekajoke.
I'm going to have to write it out phonetically, and I feel so bad because I can't pronounce it. And he helped me a lot with Shrek, so I always feel terrible. But Big Bang Bar is one of those tables that I've never seen in real life, but I love the humor to it. I love the call outs. I love the layout. It's got decent flow. I won't say great flow, but it's a really fun table. And that mod was the first time that I felt like I played it like it should be played. I really don't know how true it is to the real table, but it finally felt like an accurate representation of a pinball table as opposed to what had been previously released. And it's just, I smile every time I play it, from the Tube Girl to the DMD. There's just something about it that just cracks me up every time, and I love it.
Little to the left.
A little bit to the left.
A little more to the left.
Yeah,
a little more to the left. There we go.
Exactly.
You missed it by that much.
Yep.
Great choice. Getting Kekajote is somebody who has impressed me since the beginning. Paul, you were there. It was a one lunch stream, and I'm like, what's this? Somebody updated Fire, and he says Enfasi and Fleet, and wow.
I almost, well, I won't spoil it. Fire is one of my honorable mentions. Since you brought it up, I'll just say it's an honorable mention. And
mine as well. We can get there. It was Save My Baby, yeah. And my 45-second review. It's a fond memory, Fire. And Big Bang Bar as well. So great pick. My number 9 pick. Go ahead. What?
No, I just was saying, how about you?
My number 9 pick is an odd one, but I got to know the table after initially just glancing it over and thinking it was just a mod. But it was much more than that for me. It had the atmosphere and the moodiness of a table that I didn't necessarily love the movie, but it was good and I enjoyed it. And when I play the table, it just puts me in another world. It's simple, yet hard to play. And it's high-res version of the Fog.
I dig it. I played that one a lot on, one of my earlier Saturday night streams. Somebody told me, hey, you should play that. You have it installed. I'm like, yes. But no, that one's really good. I like that table a lot.
Halloween's great, don't get me wrong. And it's on my honorable mentions, and we'll have many of those. But the Fog just puts me in a new place.
I agree. I love the Fog. I am going to challenge your pick, though, and say that was a 2021 table.
Okay. I'm prepared for that. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I was prepared for that.
Okay.
He knows me, and he knew I was going to scrutinize his picks.
Because that leads us to our real pick, but it let me mention one of my favorite tables. My number 9 pick from 2022 is a release that I think I was a little envious of. You might say I was green with envy. And it's Paladin Arcade's Shrek, because I played the crap out of that table and had no idea that I liked Shrek.
You played at least 27 versions of it.
I did.
I mean, that started out as I just
400 games.
The upper playfield, right? Like,
and I knew it so well that when I did the tutorial, I crapped out like hard.
Gingy spinner all day long.
Yep. My number 9 pick is Paladin Arcade's Shrek with the pub pack from Hawkeye's 88, I think.
Sounds right. Do you think that was the year he was born? Because that would make me feel really old.
I do think it's the year he was born, honestly.
God.
Oh, crap.
Damn it.
But I don't know.
Wait, how late is it? It's my bedtime, boys. I have to go.
My back hurts all of a sudden.
That's because of your chair.
Or we just really complimented him. So, Hawkeyes, please give bits.
Pause for the 69-bit award.
Oh, that's yeah, I don't know. I'm not dancing for any less than, I don't know.
101.
I don't know. He's awesome. That pup was great.
Yes.
Us working together on it was a memory I'll never forget.
Oh, the stream as well was a sight to behold.
Well, that was my contribution, right? That was what I did to work on it. I harassed those two while they worked on it. I said, no, that's not good, or yeah, that looks good. But
you were the primary play tester on everything until the VPW help shop, and really it wouldn't have come together the way it did without the help of VPW. I always say that table is 2% Paladin Arcade and 98% VPW, which is
sure
very.
But you were the catalyst.
True. Yeah,
I mean,
don't undersell yourself.
No, I absolutely will.
He will. He will every time.
I have a huge Catholic guilt complex about it.
That's why it's in my top 10, Ryan.
So the only fun comment I'll make about that table is when I say Marty played 27 versions. So I made that table, the scripting and all the NFOSI and physics objects and everything, one-handed, because I started that like the week after my surgery. So it was released, and even on like the second version before I actually got to flip it on my cabinet. And I went to go stream it as like my return back, and my internet went out like 15 minutes in. And I don't think I've ever streamed it.
I'm 90% sure that that's what Astro said when you involved Astro. He said, looks like you did it with one hand.
Yep, that is what he said. And then it got brought up that Six Toe was also working one-handed at that point because I think he broke his arm.
Oh.
But he had 6 toes. Do you know how talented that is?
Well, somebody once told me that we're going to move on to number 8.
I think we should.
Number 8.
So my number 8 is one that came in toward the end of the year, but met my arbitrary cutoff time for when I was more than happy to put a table on here. My number 8 is AC/DC Lucy from VPW. The head of that project was Fluffhead, with a lot of other people working on various parts of it. I know Apophis worked on the Bell physics endlessly to try to get them right, as he was continuously told the bell doesn't feel right. Anyway, it came out late, but and am I shocked that this table just feels great to play? No. It feels like playing the real table. And it's a table that I played a lot of in person. It just feels so good to flip. All the shots are fun to hit. You always feel like you're doing something on the table, no matter what. And I feel that this table, in the broad sense, just removed from the virtual recreation even, is one of the better tables for integrating music into the actual gameplay, instead of just you can play a song you like while you're playing the table and doing the stuff involved. So yeah, my number 8, AC/DC Lucy from VPW. Came out December, right toward the middle of December, which is why I was like, okay, I'll count it. But if you haven't grabbed this table yet, go grab this table now. Go grab all the tables we're mentioning. But yeah, anyway, that's my number 8. I'll stop talking. Yay.
That's an awesome pick, and it's a table that I've never played in real life, and I would love to. I would love to try it just so I can get the feel for how it compares. But excellent pick. All right, my number 8 is the Fog 2.0. No, kidding. I was hoping to get a reaction from Marty, but I got nothing. I got a wink. Okay, I'll take it.
I'm not reacting. This is your floor.
Number 8, driven by the Pork Chop Express, I'm going to go with Big Trouble in Little China. That was literally, when that came out, I had just bought, of course, the wrong Blu-ray is here. I have Escape from New York in front of me, but I went through, when I was down for surgery, I went through this thing where I just kept buying Blu-rays in the middle of the night when I was on painkillers. And I bought a whole bunch of John Carpenter movies, and I had just watched Big Trouble in Little China. And then that table released, and that was like my first, it was like, I didn't have my stitches out yet, but I had the brace and I could finally play pinball. And I just went nuts on that table. And I love the pup pack. I love all the options. I love the apron cards, the glow. Like, it was endlessly customizable, and the theme is great. And it does it for me. I've played the hell out of that table. And it's probably, I should say that it is a Team Tuga release. And I believe it was the first release with Balatito, but I could be wrong on that.
No, you're correct. And then there was more.
Was there more? I can tell you it was in August, and I got it from the Living Arcade stream early, and I was super excited.
Oh, right, because they put up the links.
They put up the link like a few days before it came out, and I don't think I slept that night. I think I went straight to the pinball cab.
I didn't, and I made the fastest fast flip I'd ever made.
You want to know my dirty secret?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen Big Trouble in Little China.
End stream.
All right.
We're gonna watch
Big Trouble
party
right after the stream.
I don't know how it's one that fell through the cracks for me. But yeah, I've never seen it. Totally should be something that
with your name, Pirate Pones Ninja, you need to see that movie.
All right. I'm in watch party. Let's go.
Yeah. So my number 8 pick is from another gentleman, much like you guys mentioned, Board, that every time he releases or touches a table, I not only have faith, but confidence that it's going to play pretty much like the real thing. And that's Rothbauer. The table that he released in 2022 that I really enjoyed and discovered is Teed Off. And it's actually thanks to you, Paul, the other night mentioning it, that appeared on my list. I've been playing it ever since you mentioned that you like it better than No Good Gophers. So
always.
I was surprised. It wasn't like what Spider-Man was for me when I discovered that, but it was a really good game, and I'm really enjoying it. So Rothbauer's Teed Off is my number 8 choice.
Awesome. I need to actually flip that one. I don't know that I have. That's yeah. I'll have to give that one a go.
I discovered the VPX when it was the table of the week because I'd played the table in real life prior to that point. I shouldn't say real life. I'd played the physical table prior to that point. I never hunted a VPX for it. I didn't think about it. And when it became the table of the week, I just fell in love with it all over again. And that table shot amazing. And I remember the very first couple hours of the table of the week, I had put up a killer score, and then Astro pointed out that there was a bug, that there was an exploit on the table because of a bug, and Rothbauer fixed it within 45 minutes of Astro mentioning there was a bug, and the competition got to keep going because after I got into it and got excited, right as it flipped over as the table, they were talking about changing the table, and I was like, no, I just got here. This is awesome. And yeah, they fixed it, and it saved the week.
Often that competition weeds out some bugs, and the tables are updated that week usually. So it's very valuable competition for that reason. Sorry.
And we're talking about the VP Universe. Visual Pinball
Chat.
Table of the week tournament that they run. Another great Discord to join for lots and lots and lots of information, and people more than willing to help out if you have questions about anything virtual pinball. So.
Started by Major Frenchie and run by a bunch of great guys. So come on into the VPC Discord.
All right. We ready for number 7? Let's go.
Number 7.
My number 7 comes from a gentleman who released 2 of his first tables in 2022. It's Chugalafoo. And it is the Chrono Trigger mod of JP Salas's Pokemon table, complete with in-fuzzy physics and all of that. Now, I am a classic JRPG fan. I'm a dork. I don't know if you knew that. And when I loaded up this table, I was super excited to play it. It opens up with the Chrono Trigger music playing, just the piano keys. My 21-year-old Ian, who you've seen on stream, also giant dork, that's my fault, runs out of his room. He's like, Chrono Trigger? And I'm like, yes, Chrono Trigger. So we played the snot out of this table. You know, he took one of my favorite SNES games, it's an all-time classic, and turned it into a table with actual, real, what I'll call meaningful progression. That, you know, it's hard for a table to capture the story of something as grand as Chrono Trigger, but it does a hell of a great job with, you know, you're collecting them, building the party, you're having to get their weapons, you're fighting monsters before you can go up against Lavos. It feels like it doesn't feel like it was incredible. It's incredibly well thought out. The way that you progress through it It feels really good to play, especially with some of the more recent updates that he's put into it. So as close to, creating the feeling of the game and progressing through it as one might be able to do in Pinball. Just fantastic job. My number 7, Chrono Trigger from Chugalafu. And I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He also just goes by Chug at this point. And that released in August of this year and was updated in October.
That is a great pick. And if I may add, the one thing I noticed about Chug, he was very open and receptive to feedback. He came to all of our streams. He spent a lot of time in your stream, Ryan, as well as Frisco's stream, getting feedback on how it was playing, how it might have get improved. And I don't know. He was awesome.
Yes. And for this to be his second table, I'm really excited to see, what he continues to do.
And
yeah, he's been teasing his next table with you guys. Yeah. Daddy. Yeah, that's the table. How did he know that the table was Daddy?
It was Daddy.
Paul, what's your pick?
All right. My number 7 choice is Halloween from High Res. Came out October 28th. Heavy mod of Medusa. It was right around the time that the third and hopefully final Halloween movie came out. It was also right in that magic zone where I was finally able to play pinball again. So it was super exciting. I love the gun with the mag save to be able to shoot the ball back up. I was absolutely terrible at it, but the atmosphere of that table, like most high-res tables, it felt like a 80s pinball table. Like, it captured the vibe of the movie. It felt like a pinball table from the era, but it had, the fireball for explosion. It had the gunshot. It was a beautiful table, and I very much enjoyed it.
Good pick.
Yep, great pick.
Marty.
What about you, Marty?
Mine is from VPin Workshop, and number 7. I gotta admit, as much as I love the movie, I've never liked the pinball table. I still don't love the table. The rules are great. I'm not good at it. It's the flow. It's Lord of the Rings. But when Astro put his touch on it with the artwork and created the Valinor edition, and then VPW put their touches on it with all of the physics and new toys. And I got to tell you, that is one hell of a table. So my number 7 pick, Lord of the Rings, Valinor edition from VPin Workshop.
Excellent pick.
Great pick.
It was one of my honorable mentions as well.
I like that we seem to be... I think we know each other really well because, Paul, I could call some of your picks and I avoided them so that we could highlight other tables because I knew you'd pick Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
It's why I pulled out the Fog in number 9 and swapped it for you. I know you like swapping. Sorry. Next.
All right, we're going to go straight into number 6.
Number 6.
Okay, so my number 6 table has a little bit of a nostalgic flair for me. It is the Machine Bride of Pinbot from VPW that was originally started by Weird 1972 and Ayaki. They were actually rebuilding to match the correct dimensions, as it's a interestingly shaped kind of playfield and whatnot. So, a lot of VPW members worked on it. Why does it have, it was released in November. Why does it have that nostalgia for me? Well, Pinball for the NES was really my first introduction to pinball as a concept. Because that came out the same year the NES released. And I got an NES the year that it released. And I adored it. And then, Pinbot actually came out for the NES a couple years later, developed by Rare. If you did not know that, now you do. But that was really when I was like, I'd played a couple of tables, but really got me into like wherever we go, I'm going to try to find real pinball machines. So this was in like 93 or 92 or 93. We were in Columbia, which is the capital of South Carolina, for those that don't remember their state capitals. And we were at the one of the malls there. They have more than one mall, which was always exciting as a kid because Sumter had a mall. But they actually had a place that had quite a few pinball tables, and Machine Bride of Pinbot was new. It was released in 91, I think. And they had that. And while my parents were off doing shopping, I proceeded to spend a whole roll of quarters just playing that table. Again, it broken record. It's VPW. They do a great job with the physics and the feel and making sure that all the shots, feel like the shots should. And it's just a joy to play and really, gives me that same kind of feeling I had playing it back when I was a 12 or 13-year-old boy that was trying to reawaken parts of a lady robot. There we go.
It's nice to have one's work.
Hey, Paul.
Yes, sir.
You can speak.
That was good.
I can see.
You're supposed to do the laugh after that.
It's hard to go wrong with any of the Pinbot family. They're all amazing tables. It's an excellent pick. VPW knocked it out of the park. I think that was an IACI lead table, if I recall. I loved it, and it came out relatively close to it getting released on FX. And I played them both side by side, and the FX doesn't hold a candle to it in the vibe of the table and the animation stuff they did. It was a lot of times I will very much enjoy both the FX release and the VPX, usually for different reasons. But this one, hands down, VPW all day long, that's the one that will live on my cab.
Okay. And now that you've given us that, what do you pick?
Number 6.
I was stalling because I am debating on switching out my number 6.
Oh, stalling for time.
No,
I was going to... Okay, if you want to stall for more time. You said you thought it was developed by IACI, but if you'd been listening to Pirate Pwn's Ninja, he said that at the beginning.
I know. I was looking through my table list. Yep. Thank you.
I'm throwing some levity in here. And shade.
Yep.
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
a little bit of both. All right. I am going to switch my number 6, and I'm going to move up Stellar Wars into my number 6 slot.
Ooh, good choice.
Board table released in March. It was the first time I ever heard Marty swear on stream.
The table pissed me off.
Oh, yes, it did.
I was watching that stream too.
Oh, yeah. I think that was when all of our streams went from general audience to mature. It was table of the week, because so many house balls just getting the feel of the plunge. But it's a beautiful table, and to me, it's the first wide body release that I have played that felt like a wide body, like it just the default point of view and fitting on the cab. I mean, it's always harder with a wide body depending on your screen size, but that table, it looked right, it felt right, it shot right, and I love everything about it. And it's a beautiful recreation.
Good pick.
So there you go. That's my number 6.
Okay.
What you got, Marty?
My number 6, and I'll be prepared to be called out if I'm wrong if this is 2022, but Guardians of the Galaxy from the Pincredibles is my number 6 pick. It was my first introduction to what was possible and what could be recreated and how well it could be done. Since then, and before then, there's been other things from that team, and they just continue to knock it out of the park. And Guardians of the Galaxy is my number 6 pick.
Totally counts. Yeah, totally. Because the updated release was basically a brand new table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to really stay away from, like, even, if Totan had been released within 90, that within the year, I probably still wouldn't have picked it because 1.3 was a significant update. 1.4 is just looks really good, I love it. It's not meeting my criteria, so to speak.
Yep.
This year was so hard to pare it down to 10. There was so much stuff. It's been awesome.
Well, and you've been switching stuff out. I had alternates ready, and only so far one of you has called out one of my list, so I'll swap that one out. But shall we continue?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to swap out. I'm keeping my list intact because I'm that guy.
I'll mention it. I'm gonna mention my alternate.
Yeah. All right, number 5.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 was released at the end of October this year. It's 2022. We're doing 2022 tables, so of course it was October this year. It is Pinball Madness from Joe Picasso and JP Souse, acting as the leads on that table. Now, why this? Well, first off, the theme is something I love. I'm a huge horror movie buff. I love it, especially. Well, I love the Tim Curry one. I actually love part 1 of the new one. Part 2 maybe a bit rockier, but still overall as a package, great. Like, I felt that the first one really had kind of a Amblin, Steven Spielberg kind of feel to it, which was really interesting to me. And this, took that theme that I love and put it onto a table where I like the layout, but Oktoberfest is just not a theme that I'm going to get into.
That's surprising.
I know, as much as I do the drinking thing, but I'm huge on, like, professionally. I've always been big on narrative and things like that. So when I'm looking at any piece of media that I'm playing, I'm really trying to understand how are they integrating their theme and their narrative into this. So is Oktoberfest one I would walk by and not play? But I'd flip it. But if it were a pinball table sitting in a place, it would be one that I would definitely stay at and play for a long time. Amazing call outs, great use of the theme for the modes. I loved what, like, the build up to the table, and when it released, just feels really great to play. A lot of great work went into it. So my number 5 is Pinball Madness. The Infos EVPX version specifically is the one I put the most time into. But you know what? You have options for multiple versions. Pick what you would rather go with.
It's an amazing table. I don't have anything to add to it. I'm just going to jump into my number 5, which I am going to quickly switch out because it might have been the same. I am going to slide into number. I've lost Marty. I've ruined Marty. Here's why I struggle with this is before I did Twitch streaming, I actually was on a podcast where this is what we did was we made top 10 lists, but we played a game where if someone else took one of your numbers, you had to slide in an alternate. So that's just kind of like what I do by default.
I'm ahead of the game.
You are ahead of the game.
You didn't tell me that.
I don't think I've told many people that, but
no.
If you can find it, I'll be impressed.
No, I really wanted us to each feature, if we're featuring 30 tables tonight, great.
Yes.
Fair. And I agree. And that's why sliding into my number 5 is going to be 4 million BC from Scoticus, which was a huge update to that table. And for being one of the last EMs, there's a surprising amount of depth to that table. And it's hard as hell. And it looks beautiful. It shoots like the real table if you've played it. It is my children's favorite table, although the Scoticus release knocked it down a few pegs because it actually became harder.
Those slingshots are the devil.
Oh, the zipper flippers. It's so much stuff that I love on that table. But that is my number 5. Marty?
Good selections, gentlemen. So Pirate had it. And Paladin had it, but then didn't. He went from it to 4. Very Neanderthal of you. So I'm taking notes. I wanted you to know that my number 5 pick is the reason you lost me for a moment. So I'm sliding in to Paladin's DMs. And I will let you both know that not only do you know that I loved it, it was a present to our community in the aspect that we got to get involved with the creation of it, premiere it, and hype it up. And, it was so much fun. Great pick. I'm glad we all picked it. Paul, your slide-in choice. I'm still mad at Scoticus for kicking my ass on that table. But he educated us and told us about all of those head-zail innovations like zipper flippers, the different gated multi-balls, the multi-balls, which didn't exist in pinball at that time. And he created out of gears and a magical man. Great picks, gentlemen. Mine is actually Game of Thrones from VPin Workshop. I have grown to love the table. I'm sure you guys heard me say on stream, but when I first approached that in the wild, I think I gave it $2 and I said, I don't get it. There's too much going on. It's intimidating. I don't want to play it. Secretly, much like Lord of the Rings, I do want to play it. I just don't want to spend the money and the time to learn it in a pub somewhere. So having it recreated so faithfully, it's my number 5 pick. And that one was a tough one because I wanted to put it a little higher up, but I had to be realistic to the criteria I had put for my selections. So Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, number 5. Great table. I need to put more time into it. The only one that we have local doesn't have the upper play field, so it's been a learning experience for me because I'm used to playing without that, and it adds a whole other element to play.
I see a small contingency of the VPX audience out there saying they don't like the table, not the recreation of it, just the Stern table. But they don't get it. I think they're having that early table disease that I used to have with it, that I still have or had with like Jurassic Park from Stern, which we don't have in VPX, but I didn't like it at first and I've grown to love it. So
yep.
I think Game of Thrones is like that. It's something you have to get to know over time.
And I think it was really brought up in Discord, and it was I've kind of taken it to heart. As he made a point that the tables that he used to hate, he, through Table of the Week and Thursday Throwdown and other competitions that we've done that have forced him to play the table and learn it, have then turned around and become some of his favorite tables. Because initially they were intimidating. Yeah. He didn't understand it and they were hard. And so he just kind of overlooked it and said, I don't like this table. But then once it clicks and you understand it, it's like a whole new table. And I've tried to look at some of my biases toward tables after he said that. And I've been pleasantly surprised with some tables that I didn't necessarily care for as well.
Yeah, same here. It's as I mature as a player, that's something I've been noticing more and more.
Awesome. All right. Shall we move on to number 4?
Survey says yes.
We have a winner.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4.
So my number 4 table was going to be Lord of the Rings Valinor edition, but I do have alternates. I was kidding. So point out, Project Lead was Apophis on that, and that actually started off the year for VPW. That came out in January, and everything you said, Marty, about the artwork, like redesign, the sword is so awesome. The way it glows, there's just so much cool stuff going on with that. I feel like it's kind of, I don't want to say been forgotten, but it came out at the beginning of the year, and we just had this deluge of stuff coming out that wanted to make sure that it got mentioned. So I'm glad that it was on 2 of our lists. So I'm going to actually slot in one that some people go, oh no, whenever they see it, and I kind of go, oh no, when I go to play it. But I'm going to put Jokers from VPW in. Project Lead on that was Tomate. And this table actually was one of the first times that I got into doing the VPC tournament. It was one of the VPC tournament tables right after I got my cab built. And it's just a really unique, fun, frustrating table. I find that a lot of very frustrating tables are also actually really fun because they have that feeling of I got so close. If I play one more game, I can do better. And I feel that Jokers does a really good job at that. So yeah, I'm gonna slot in Jokers for my number 4.
Well, just to add on a little bit to it, I agree 100%. I've played hundreds of hours of the physical Jokers, but what's fun story of right when it was released, if you've ever played a physical Jokers in the wild, the ramp almost never works or never lines up correctly. It never fails. And Astro debuted the table, if I recall. I can't remember. There were a lot of people streaming it, but I think he showed it off, and then it came out a couple of days later. And the first time I went to go stream it, as I'm loading up the table for the first time, I jokingly say, this version of Jokers is so accurate that the ramp doesn't even work. And I just said that as a joke. And then I got the ball stuck on the ramp and I wanted to punch the glass. And then 2 days later, there was the 0.01 fix for the ramp update.
Oh boy, that's really good.
And then I hope that nobody saw that and thought that I was making fun. I was more poking fun at the physical table. And I mean, I got lucky. All right, so my number 4 is, even though I've slotted it in number 4, at least for future pinball, is my probably favorite table of the year. But since I quantified it by playtime, it's my number 4. I'm going with Jaws Bigger Boat Edition. Marty knew it was coming. It was going to be on the list. When I started in virtual pinball, the Slam Tilt Jaws was the table that made me build a virtual cabinet. And my first cabinet I built in, I think, 2013, and it was nothing like what I have now. It literally was a TV on a cardboard box and a bad encoder.
Oh, like you have at work.
Yes, like the one I for the record, I didn't build the one at work. When I was out for surgery, everybody was like, we missed the pin cab, because sometimes
with the Cisco web phone back glass guys.
Yes. It has a Cisco video phone that's no longer in production. That is the back glass because it had HDMI in. It's got a TV set down. The base is a box. I'll post pictures.
Got a Palm Pilot DMD.
In iterations, but I actually did not build that. Some guys at work threw it together because when I wasn't there, I took my cab home because I had my old cab and my new cab, and I took the old cab to work, for the break room. And when I wasn't around, because I get sick of people breaking it, I took it home and everybody missed it. So they built a actually surprisingly good cardboard cab.
That's awesome.
But PhysX, Terry Red, Jaws Bigger Boat Edition. I love that table. At the time that I built my first cab, I didn't understand visual pinball. It was back before there were a lot of the resources that we have now. I was kind of intimidated to ask questions because despite what you see here, I'm actually kind of shy. And so future pinball for me just worked, and bam, with, editing at the time, it made sense to me. So for a lot of years, I played mostly future pinball until I finally moved on to VPX, and slam tilt tables were my go-to. And when Terry's Jaws version just elevates it so much. The theme is amazing. When you play it, for an original table, it could be a real table. And I love it. It's one of my favorite movies, and that's why it's my number 4 pick.
Good picks. And let's see, Ryan on Jokers. Jokers was one of the first tables that made me say, oh yeah, I don't hate older games. I'm just particular to certain older games like Pinbot and Bride of Pinbot and High Speed, right? But Jokers, when it came up in the competition, I played it, and I'm like, holy crap, I love this. Coincidentally, I may get a real one this year.
Ooh. Make sure the ramp works.
Yes.
It won't.
It's actually in really good shape, so we'll see.
They always say that.
Yeah. It's coming from Porgy, so I don't have to question it.
I take back everything I have said.
Remind me what your pick just was?
Jaws.
Oh, never mind. It was the Bigger Boat Edition, which I had removed from my list yesterday when I realized Paladin would pick that, because that's my wife's favorite table, and it had to go on my top 10. So it's definitely an honorable mention since I excluded it from my list. But sliding in, and we are on number 4. Batman 66. I know that's 2 from the Fishbowl and the Pincredibles, but Batman 66 was the one that made me go, oh shit, I should have gotten a full DMD.
It made me go,
I'm a purist.
oh,
90% of the tables...
I should have gotten a bigger full DMD.
Yeah. 90% of the tables are regular DMD. I don't need the fancy stuff, right? Now I have to spend $500 to redo my back box. Idiot. Batman 66 is my number 4 pick. Thank you for your time.
It's a great pick. I love that table. I've blown up on it a couple of times. I don't know if I've blown up because of the bug that's on it, but
it counts, damn it. Orbital scoring recorded it. You're good.
It counts. But yeah, I adore that table. It's one of the, I have a list of tables that are, hey, people are coming over that aren't like super into or know pinball. What do I want to show off? That's on that list, 100%. All right. Number 3.
Number 3.
My number 3 was actually going to be Guardians of the Galaxy from the Pincredibles. Just a couple of other mentions on that one real quick. Like you mentioned, Marty, showing what's possible on that one. When the 2.0 released and it had the fully interactive DMD, I was just like, wait, what we can actually do that in VPX. Sick. To that level, mind you. Yeah, it's great. So what I am going to slot in its stead is another VPW table that was released in May of this year. Project lead was I Dig Stuff. It's Simpsons Pinball Party. It remains one of the, this is even before like 7.2 lighting and all that, one of the best lit looking tables that I think is out there. You know, this is one where I will show pictures. I'll take pictures from my cab, and it fools people 100% of the time for it, being a real table. They think it's a real table. Just a lot of fun to play. I would say that the pup pack is a must on this table. It adds so many fun call outs and clips to it. You know, it's also a great one for people that are, watching to view. Some of the shots are hard. Getting up in the upper play field isn't the easiest, but it feels good when you find your flow on it. And it looks absolutely incredible. So my substitute number 3 is going to be Simpsons Pinball Party from VPW.
Well, it's hard. You made the note about the pup pack, and I struggle with, do I do the regular pup pack or do I do the Treehouse of Horror pup pack?
Ooh.
Both Hawkeyes. And the answer is I have both of them on the cab with an alternate launch, so I can pick which one I'm going to do. Love both those pup packs. The table shoots just like the real one. My wife credits one of her pinball finals this year, one of her wins, with how much she's played the VPW release and how I prepared her for the upper play field for the feeling of the shots.
Awesome. What do you have for your number 3, Paul?
I don't know. I'm still stalling because it got taken.
Yeah, if you don't know him well yet, he's stalling.
Sliding into number 3 is going to be Blood Machines, and I don't care who I stole that from, you guys, because I'm running out of alternates.
You're a jerk. I only had so many alternates, Paul.
Same, Marty.
That's all right. I knew it was a risk.
So good,
and because I'm doing this on the fly, you guys will be able to fill in more info.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was released in April. I believe the project lead was Ayaki, but I'm not positive.
Oh, Shane.
That's right. It's just go with it. You're right.
Okay.
Shame him.
All right.
Hey, Astro Nasty was the art lead. Just go with it.
See, Astro did a lot with it, but I couldn't remember if he was lead or not.
Art lead, yes.
He was much nastier then. Yes.
I remember when it came out, and I was super excited about it because I had watched the movie. I was a part of the Kickstarter for the movie before it got split up into the mini series, and it was one of those movies that, under the influence, was amazing, and then sober, you're like, I don't completely understand this, but it's still cool. But there's 2 movies that the first time I watched them while drinking were like my favorite movies for the longest time, and then I revisited them and was, kind of re-guessed my life choices. One is Blood Machines, and the other was Harold and Kumar.
Thought you were going to say Boba Hotep.
But why?
I still love Boba Hotep.
Me too. I just thought you were going to say that for some reason.
No, you're not wrong. But that's my number 3 pick. I'm going with Blood Machines because it hurts so good.
I'm really mad at you for that one. It's okay. I'll recover. My
Yeah,
number
it can
3.
still be your pick, and you can fill in all the details I'm guessing at because I randomly picked it.
I think you're all VPW shills, me included. I think all of you are getting tipped or beered by VPW. So,
well, let's be honest, right? Like, so many people will release a table, and then VPW is like, this is really good. Let's help out with this and make it even better. And then that person becomes part of VPW. So they're like this huge group at this point. So saying, VPW, it's yes, it is a table, release group, but that group is huge at this point. And they all have certain standards that, if we're going to release this under the VPW name, we want to make sure that we're here. But I want to be completely clear that just because there's a lot of VPW on here, it just means that VPW releases quite a bit, because there are so many people and so much passion that they have for making projects.
wow, that made him defensive, Paladin. Did you notice that? Did you notice how he got all like?
It's okay. It's giving me time to try and load VP Universe because I still think Ayaki is the lead on this table. I don't think I'm wrong.
Are you ready?
Sure. We're not kidding.
Because of your blood machine sacrifice, Paladin, I'm going to have to throw myself out as a martyr here and just sacrifice myself now because I will get ridiculed, despised, and probably unfollowed for this pick. Are you ready?
Ready.
My number 3 pick is Iron Man.
Oh.
From Biggest. Thank you so much. That's the reaction I was looking for.
Or Iron Man Armored Adventures from J.
That's getting clipped right there.
Oh boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my pick number 3 is Iron Man from VPin Workshop. Don't be fooled. All kidding aside, Iron Man not only looked good, it was the first released with the baked objects, I believe. And not only did it amaze me, but I had no idea how fun, until VPin Workshop released it, that table was. It was the next Spider-Man for me. Spider-Man was another VPin Workshop release from Stern. It was an Elwin table, Richie table. Excuse me. I had no idea I loved Spider-Man. Iron Man came along and blew away Spider-Man for me. That single ball challenge was unlike anything I'd ever really experienced outside of like Safecracker or one of those weird tables. I really enjoyed the unique challenge. So Iron Man from VPin Workshop is my number 3 pick.
Oh yeah, I mean it is a game that forces you to be on your best at all times. Like, it is unforgiving. Great pick.
And it doesn't require you to have a tilt bob.
Who doesn't have a tilt bob?
I don't.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll be getting one.
I have one. Hold on. Here's mine. Right here.
Oh, nice. Does it?
And that's where it should be, next to the cab.
It's level, right next to his cab.
All right. We're almost done here. We're going to go into our number 2. You ready for number 2? Does anybody need time to stall more?
Nope.
Number 2.
Number 2.
My number 2 is going to be, man, my 2 and 1 are messed up now. Fuck. Anyway.
That happens as you get older.
Wow.
That's something you need to look out for, Hawkeyes.
I was waiting to throw it in there.
My number 2 is Sonic Pinball Mania from Terry Red, the VPin or the Pin event. V2 PhysX update specifically. This would have been on my list at number 2, regardless of the PhysX update or not. But the PhysX update is fantastic. Like, I know that there are a number of people that are like, "Well, I can't aim my shots. The physics aren't as good in future pinball." And maybe they weren't. I'm somebody that can appreciate and really feel the difference in physics sets. But there's also I also have a fun factor that I'm looking for, and this was one of the first tables that I got set up. Luckily, we have Baller Installer. It puts Future Pinball and VPX on the cab, or any computer. You don't even have to have cab. So, I immediately got this and got it set up. Terry Red has extensive guides as to how to upgrade. And I understand that you can look at that stuff and think it's intimidating. It's actually not that difficult to do. And it's definitely worth it, especially with all these new PhysX update tables, the pin event tables that Terry is putting out. The thing with Sonic, right, is that one, it's an IP that in this household is well loved. Something that we all like. My 21-year-old hears me talking about Sonic. He comes over to the corner. He's like, "Hello." Because Sonic was one of his favorite IPs growing up, still is one of his favorites. It makes incredibly great use of the IP. Thematically feels good. The shots are great. The latest update, once it comes out, I played it on stream. Having that extra ball control is really, really awesome. And it just looks so good. It's very attractive to look at. And it's another one that's on my, hey, you don't play too much pinball. Come give this a flip, because Sonic is something that a lot of people that I hang out with do know, even if they're not really into pinball. So Sonic Pinball Mania, my number 2.
Before I get to my number 2, the one quick comment I will add is I remember when Sonic released the official release, because we were all waiting, like we were all like jumping, we all wanted to play it. And I remember it came out and someone in Discord said, "Whoa, the file size is blah, 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 blah." And I remember Pirate goes, what's the file size of the PDF? That's what I want to know.
It's true, though. It's true.
It's true. That has stuck with me since that was the pre-PhysX release. That was the first Pin Event V2 release of Sonic.
And honestly, I'm just repeating what Terry Red says in Discord all the time. If you have a problem, you didn't follow the PDF.
It's true.
So
see, Terry, you're getting praise and shade all at the same time. 2 of your tables are picked. Your documentation's called out. Nice PDF.
I'm not calling it out. I think he does excellent documentation.
I know.
It's very straightforward.
I'm calling it out as something everybody should do. Everybody. All of you.
All of us. I'll do it.
In triplicate.
I'm going to do mine right now.
And I'm going to need you to come in Saturday. Okay?
Now the next release is going to have a 80 meg PDF, and that's going to be throwing shade at us.
He's not resizing any of the images. No, I have to throw Terry a little slack because he's updated the wrong file like 3 times. It's something I would do. So.
All right, Paul, what do you got?
My number 2 pick is Diner from VPin Workshop, which was the update to the Flupper version of Diner. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled with this one because I had more play hours on the Flupper one than I did on the VPW, but the VPW release enhanced it enough that it definitely overtook the original Flupper release for me. And that is my number 2. And it goes back to I play in a lot of pinball tournaments. And Taxi comes up more than Diner, but my first actually learning the rules and practicing the shots and not just like struggling to bat the ball around on the physical table came from this VPX. I have many hours on it. My wife has many hours on it. I love the call outs, the lighting. It feels like the real table, and it allowed me to really practice. And
come on, man, hurry up.
Release. Okay, fine.
No, that's a call out.
Fluffhead was the project lead for Diner. That's my last note.
I wasn't telling you to hurry up, but it's a call out.
Yes.
Did you want me to do it in the accent? No.
I did, yes.
Nope.
What about the Frankfurter?
Come on, man. You are too slow.
Sorry, I'm just starting the cup.
No. I'm stalling for time here, if you couldn't tell, Paul.
Nope.
Did I steal your number 2 or your number 1? That's all I want to know. Is it a game?
My jokes are a little too filthy, so I'm gonna not answer that one.
What are we playing on Wednesday?
Anyways. So my next pick for number 2 is an author that's been mentioned but not really featured yet tonight, and I just want to call it out as for many reasons, but it's pretty much any table from this author, and he has updated all 182 of his tables with the latest physics that he has developed, and that is J.P. Salas. I'm going to go with, because you showed it to me, Paul, Gargamel Park. And with the 4.0 physics and some of the fixes he put in after noting some bugs in 4.01 and 2, it plays really well. It's a lot of fun. It's a very different original table. It's one of his early works. And I wanted to make sure to highlight one of JP's tables, not only for the joy he brings all of us, but the joy he brings all of those people who are creative, like Chug, like Rusty, like Mr. J. Crane, and so many others that take that framework that JP's created and made accessible to people and encouraged those people, like Joe Picasso with it and JP with Scooby-Doo 2022, which I wanted to put on this list, but Time Lord just went right above that. So, yeah, let's call out JP, and Gargamel Park is my number 2.
Awesome.
It's an excellent pick.
And yeah,
I didn't realize I was the one that introduced you to that.
Specifically Gargamel Park, yeah. I mean, I knew about it, but I thought it was no fun. It looked too busy, and there was a lot to it, but I enjoyed the carnival atmosphere and the different play fields and the use of the space that he did, and the vertical space.
It's a sleep. I shouldn't say it's a sleeper table, because it goes in waves where it becomes popular and then it kind of fades off into obscurity. But it's one of those tables that, like you said, it's just at a glance, it's easy to overlook, and then you play it and it's a lot of fun and it's neat. And it was one of the first VPX tables that I put a lot of time into, and I'll always go back to it, especially when he's updating all the physics on all of his tables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it falls into that category where something could be too gimmicky for its own good, but it actually is a lot of fun to play. So I love that pick. I love the call out for JP Salas and the work that he's put in. Updating all of those tables with his updated physics. Great stuff, everybody. All right, we're almost ready for number 1, but before we get to those, we're going to take just a minute to run through some honorable mentions. I'll go ahead.
Do we want to do number 1 first, just because someone's honorable mention might be someone else's number 1?
Well, I'm sticking with my number 1, even though it may have been called already.
Okay.
So I instead of slotting in something that was an honorable mention into number 1, because I want to call out the number 1 as what I actually like, honestly, is something that, felt like amazing to me released this year. So if that said, I'm totally okay if we want to wait until after to do honorable mentions. We can go ahead and go with number ones right out of the gate, right at the end of the gate. That's not a phrase. We're gonna go with it.
No, don't let Paul throw a banana in your tailpipe. If you're sticking with your number one, no matter what, that's fine. Because if your number one is Paul's number one, he still has to pick an alternate, and he'll have to stall for time again, right?
That's fair. However,
I'm fairly
stick a
confident
banana in my
nobody picked my
tailpipe.
number one.
If we do honor mentions, we'll remove
anytime.
all of Paul's alternates. I guarantee it. Like he'll have to scramble to find it. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's do number one, and then we'll go through the honorable mentions. I agree.
All right. Banana in the tailpipe. Let's go.
You
Okay.
told him not to be intimidated, and then you intimidated him into doing it.
It's true. Well, he mentioned the banana in the tailpipe. I'm all about it. Anyway. Number one.
Number one.
All right, everybody. Drum roll. No drum roll. My number one table of 2022 that has gotten the absolute most playtime on my cab is probably, well, maybe a surprise, probably not a surprise. Blood Machines from VPin Workshop. Yes, just going to confirm that Ayaki was the lead on that table. Asher Nasty or Nicey, depending on the day, was the art lead on there. Just, I've talked a lot about theme and how I like it when a table actually takes its theme and integrates those narrative elements into it. You can feel, and all right, what you think about the movie, like, I don't care. Some people are like, it's a long music video, and that might be true, but I actually feel like the themes that are in that movie and what's going on end up mapping incredibly well to modes that we have here on this table. The modes all feel unique. They do something different for every one of them that goes well beyond just the hit the lit shots, which, a lot of tables do that, and that's fine. There's a lot that goes on in this table that can really only be done in a virtual format. So just, it is an incredible work of art, like hands down. It nails that difficulty to frustration level so well. The soundtrack is very subdued. It feels very, for a lot of the time, it's very atmospheric. And then when you kick off certain modes, if you have the soundtrack installed, if you're playing this table and you haven't bought the soundtrack and put it in, do yourself a favor, go buy it, put those into the music directory, play it with that, because when that music kicks in at certain points, boy, howdy, is it amazing. There's no way that this wouldn't have been my number one, released back in April. Blood Machines from VPW. Absolutely great. So there we go. What do you got, Paul?
Who went out and bought a new video card the week that Blood Machines released? Anybody?
You did, right?
I did. I'm just curious if anybody else did.
Or I was already upgraded.
I did.
It was already upgraded.
Well, I had to for 120 hertz. I'm sorry.
I had a 1660 and I played the cemetery mode for the first time, and I immediately drove to Best Buy and paid way too much money.
I also paid too much money for my 3080, but it wasn't for Blood Machines.
Blood Machines was the catalyst. It was the final straw of this needs to go. All right. My
you
number
stalled long
one
enough?
pick. No, my number one pick is solid. I wasn't going to change it no matter what. It might surprise you guys. It came out in February. It's a table from Board. Any guesses?
Skyway?
Nope. Good guess though.
No, I don't have a guess.
It's Flash.
Oh.
And
good table.
It's a great table. I think both the virtual and the real table or physical table it's an underrated table. It's a table that I've played both in physical and virtual hundreds of times, and it's what I refer to one of my rage games. When I've had a bad day, and I think Ryan knows what I'm talking about by that laugh, is there's two games. When I've had a bad day and I come home from work and it's, don't even talk to me, the two games that I go for are Flash and Galaga. And because both games I've played so much, it's just automatic, and I can just shoot, or I can shut my brain down, and I can leave it all on the table, and the shots feel beautiful. Hitting the drop targets with the upper right flipper, the orbital, it's just smooth. You can get it jamming, and by far, that is my number one table of 2022 that I have probably 300 hours in.
One that I've not put enough time into. I need to put some more time on that one.
Good choice. And, we'll talk about honorable mentions, but I've had to move a lot of tables around for alternates, but I had Blood Machines in there. But I'm going to take the opportunity to highlight another table that I don't play on stream, but maybe once or twice, I think. But my son and I enjoy this, and it came up on my top 10 that we've played throughout the year. It doesn't completely follow my criteria because it did initially release in 2021, but the updates done to it have changed the table completely and made it incredible. So I'm going to call out Star Wars Bounty Hunter from Okusan. Unreal introduced me to his work, but Bounty Hunter really let me know how creative he is. Voodoo's Carnival is another one that was in my list, and I think Okusan, outside of his scripting abilities and his ability to help other people without a question, his creative ability to look at a table and create something like Unreal or Bounty Hunter is second to none other than Kenji with Voodoo's Carnival and Astra with Blood Machines, in my opinion. So it's my number one pick.
Great table.
It's a great table.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'll be honest, I haven't put nearly as much time into since it was updated as I would like to. I played it a lot when it first came out. I really need to revisit the update.
It's one of our personal pleasures here. I should stream it a lot more.
Future Thursday Throwdown?
Ooh, yes, please.
It's coming up. Yeah, it
Okay.
is. I'm trying to build up the participation and get regularity, and then we can really attack some of these high-profile tables. That's why I'm doing this, Totans and the AC/DCs and the hot properties.
Nice.
We'll go back to the hidden gems.
Maybe a hidden gem a month. Throw those in.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's everybody's top 10. What I think that we have illustrated here is that there's not a dearth of content that is amazing for people to take part of in any way, shape, or form. Some could say that we are spoiled, and we absolutely 100% are in this hobby. And it's been really fun. Learning about virtual pinball, really getting into it. this year for me, and can't wait to see what 2023 brings us.
Exciting stuff. I appreciate the two of you coming here and sharing some tables together. Do you guys have any other honorable mentions, Ryan? Anything for you that you didn't get to or you want to bring up?
I do. One thing first thing I want to call out is the all of Terry Red's pin event tables. I know that we talked about Sonic and we talked about Jaws. All of those getting updated with PhysX from JLu and Anontet, and then Terry Red implementing. All worth checking out, all worth taking the time to install Future Pinball for. Retro Flare has been out for a while. If it was a 2022 absolute release, it would have been on here. It got tons of play just because it came with Baller installer. But it's tons of fun. F14 Tomcat was super happy to get a great version of that. But overall, when I want to make sure I call out Terry Red and all the work that he's been putting in. Shrek's actually on my honorable mention list. We've talked about that one. Wacky Races, actually, popular table with the kiddo here. Really likes that. Scooby-Doo from Wacky Races was Rimdwas and Joe Picasso. Am I correct on that one? I forgot my notes on these. Yep. Mr. J. Crane with Scooby-Doo. You mentioned that one being really close to your top. It was really close to mine as well. So want to make sure I call that one out. Scooby-Doo is a theme that is near and dear to me, and one of the reasons I am so into horror stuff, actually. So really, really like that, and can't go without in tandem on there, like you, Marty, calling out and mentioning JP Salas, especially the Wrath of Olympus table, which did come out this year, as it has been the basis for quite a few of the tables that have come up quite a bit as some people's favorites. And I really like Wrath of Olympus too. So those are a couple of my honorable mentions. Paul, what do you got?
All right. For my honorable mentions, just scrolling through the list real quick because I slid so many things around. Flash Gordon from Rothbauer came out in, I think it was September. It was September. But
yeah.
Great table. I love it. It's hard as hell. Looks beautiful. Shoots amazing. Fifth Element from Nesta 78. Love the artwork on that table. Love the pup pack. Nesta was one of the people that helped get me into VPX and helped get me into streaming. So I love Nesta, and that table for me, it was fun to watch him get to release it because he put a lot of love into it, and I very much enjoy it. We covered Lord of the Rings. That was on my list. Yeah, I think because of the way I slid stuff around, I got through most of my list. So, Marty?
Okay. Yeah, like many of you guys, I took him off my list, but Stephen King's it. I had Voodoo's Carnival on there. Kenji did an incredible original creation. Blood Machines, obviously. But I had a hard time with tables that I really liked, but I didn't consider other people would like them as much. Paul, you mentioned Flash Gordon. That was one of them. I know it was popular, and I know the pup pack that came out, reinvigorated it. But I didn't see it as a popular pick I don't know. I guess I have a question for both of you. I think I know the answer based off of what Ryan said at the beginning, but if people are joining us late, why aren't Iron Maiden on this list? Why didn't X-Men make the list, And I myself want to call out X-Men it was hard for me to not put X-Men in my top 10, but I think it's because I don't fully understand it yet. and it's not yet one of my top 10 played tables, but I believe it will get there. So it's also in my honorable mention list. But question for both of you, why didn't you pick Maiden?
So for me, Maiden's definitely going to be on my it'll be up for my 2023 list, 100%. It came out on December 31st, and I like to put at least a bit of time into something before I can make a judgment call on it. Now, I played that table hours and hours since it released, less than a week ago, but and it's amazing. It feels fantastic. It's another table that is at the every other Thursday tournament I go to, and it's going to be one that makes me better at playing the real thing. But that one, just too new. Same with Game of Thrones for me. I was so used to playing without the upper play field and had a good feel for it there that I haven't had the time to put into the VPX one to get a good feel for exactly how I play with that upper play field for my game. But that's why those will be up for consideration for me for 2023.
Okay. We'll harass you in 2023 then, because technically those came out in 2022. So you better have an alternate ready, much like I did with the fog.
See,
Paul's going to call you out. That guy right there.
For the game awards for 20, for each year, if your game doesn't release by November 15th, it's included for the next year. That's common.
Okay. Oh, we're creating a hard and fast rule now.
So
you heard it here first.
I'm used to that. I'm used to that rule. Just from what
I'm not in the awards industry. But I don't have a fancy neon sign behind me. That's very nice. No other way. You were good.
This way?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great.
Well, can't see
Looks
myself.
like a party.
It is a party. It's a pinball party. But yeah,
excellent podcast.
You can harass me. Should we make a podcast, Paul? Is that what you're saying?
The PPP
Pinball
podcast.
Pinball Party is a great podcast.
Pinball Party is a great podcast on TPN.
There we go.
For me, the reason I didn't include Maiden is because it was so close to the cutoff line. I knew it was going to be one of my favorite tables, if not my favorite. Definitely one of my favorite, top 5 music group for me for sure. I have probably thousands of hours in the physical table. I've put up some pretty decent Scorbit challenges on Maiden for the 2 days that it's been played out. Well, a couple weeks at this point, but I've really only played it a handful of hours, and it shoots amazing. But for me, it was too close to the wire, so I say it's a 2023 release for me, and that's why I didn't pick it.
I gotcha. And I gotta say, I would have picked it because technically it was released in the year. I didn't follow Pirates rules, but let me give you 2 reasons why I didn't put it in my top 10. Number 1,
okay.
It's kind of a gimme.
Quiet.
It's the most anticipated VPX table of the year. Every time a table was announced, all I would see in VPC or on Facebook was, is it Iron Maiden? Is it Iron Maiden? When are we getting Maiden? Every freaking comment. As I watched the community, that seemed to me, and I believe the downloads are showing it, to be the most popular table anticipated this year, outside of the Guardians update, Scorbit, and some other things. People wanted that. And I didn't want to pick what everybody's expecting because of the second reason. Let's be honest, there's only 2 people watching us right now. And VPW doesn't care what
we just
think.
lost them by not picking Maiden.
They're like, how dare you?
Yeah, but VPW isn't watching this, and they don't care what we think. We're not Jimmy Kimmel or the MTV Music Awards, right?
We could be.
We're like the Schmuck and Schmoll Hall of Fame, you know?
Where is that located? Just for my information.
Columbus.
Columbus, Ohio.
Ohio.
It's in my van down by the river. But Pirate, thanks for suggesting this, coordinating this, getting us together tonight. Appreciate you.
Oh, this has been great.
I wouldn't go that far, but thank you.
Hey, I've had a blast doing it, just hanging out. Hopefully everybody else has enjoyed what we've talked about, what we've had here. Maybe during the course of the year, every couple of months, we'll throw something together that's a top 10 of some random theme or type. Who knows? We'll see. Tell us what you want to see. We like making content, and we're here to do that for you. Anyway, anything else before we sign off here?
We asked what we want to see. I want to see you and Paul do Wonder Twin Powers activate. You can be an eagle, and he can be a bucket of water.
Am I in the right position? Am I?
I'm not.
Yep.
No.
All right. Nicely done, gentlemen. All right. Thank you for playing along.
Have a great evening. We will talk to you later.
Yeah, we'll see you next year.